All right, people, this is Sultan. I just made a tweet which has had about 5 million views, and that got a lot of people thinking. Muslims brag that there's no other issue, there's no other dispute that unites the Muslim ummah like the Palestinian issue. And then I got to thinking about it. Why is it? Is it because Palestinians are the blue eyed Muslims for the rest of the Muslim world? Because when Saudis kill, some people suggest 250,000 or at least 150,000 people in Yemen, nobody bats an eyelid. When we see Bashar al Assad kill 200,000 Muslims in Syria, when we see Bashar al Assad allows Russia kill 10,000 Syrian civilians, nobody bats an eyelid. Nobody comes out in London or in Paris or Sydney or Toronto or New York. Nobody comes out. Why is that? If we just join Yemen and Syrian casualties, that's about 500,000 people. Again, every civilian casualty is a disaster, in my opinion, and nobody should die. But if you compare the two, so far, according to Hamas's figures, 8 or 9,000 civilians have died. This is nothing compared to 500,000 that the Saudis and Bashar al-Assad have killed. And not to mention what Saddam Hussein did in the 70s and what Iran did, etc. It just never ends. But why is it that Muslims suddenly get so worked up and so united over Palestinian cause, but nothing else? Surely it's got nothing to do with Muslim lives, because if it was, then they would have gotten upset over all these other massacres as well. So I posed this question to my father and I asked him. He didn't even know. He said, well, if the Saudis did it, then I'm against that too. But I said, well, but why did you not say? Why did you not hold a rally or organize a protest or cry or acted as emotional as you are acting now? Because 30,000 Yemeni children have died. My friend Armin Navabi has made more streams on Yemen than your Muhammad Hijabs and your Daniel Hakikachus and these people. Why? If you play ignorance, then that shows that you only succumb to peer pressure and you remember your pain for your fellow Muslims only when you're reminded. So in other words, if you were not seeing these videos of Palestinian children being pulled out of the rubble, then you would have gone your merry way. You would not have cared about it. Is that what you're saying? It means someone is showing that to you. Someone has political objectives. Someone who decided not to show the Yemeni children or the Syrian children who were dying at the hands of their fellow Muslims. They didn't show you that. The media didn't show you that. But they want to show you this. They want you to get upset over this. Why do Muslims want you to, or Muslim establishment want you to get upset over this? Well, I think the answer is simple. It's got nothing to do with Muslim lives. It's got to do with Jewish hatred. They're telling you that Jews, they're killing your fellow Muslims, fellow Palestinians, and you need to come out all guns blazing and start protesting. What do you think, Armin?
It's so obvious that you're correct. It's so obvious that you're correct. I mean, this has nothing to do with saving lives. Has nothing to do with saving Palestinian lives. This is about hating Jews. It's just as clear as that. I don't think anybody who doesn't understand this is either a fool or ignorant, because it's just, how else could you make sense of this? There is no other way that you can make sense of this.
How would you answer if they say that, okay, Haris, I was an ignorant. I did not know what was the scale of human catastrophe or the suffering of Yemeni people or Syrian people. I admit I was an ignorant. But if I didn't speak up for the crimes against the Yemeni people or the Syrian people, that doesn't mean that I should not speak up for the Palestinian people. How would you answer that?
If you want to speak up for the Palestinian people, then you should be against Hamas and you need to support the IDF, because we have been supporting Palestinians. Unlike a lot of people who say, I stand with Palestine, I think the main supporter of Palestinian lives are people who also support Israel. I support Israel as a country, and I want Palestine to be a country. I want Gaza to be free. I want Gaza to be free from Hamas. And I support the IDF because the IDF is trying to do the best it can possibly do to basically make sure that it has deterring capability, because it was attacked. And if it doesn't show that it could react, it's doing a disservice to its citizens, and it's actually inviting more war, because when you are attacked, you need to respond, or else you are inviting everybody else to come and attack you. And that's especially dangerous for a country like Israel, that if it shows that it's weak, that if it shows that it doesn't have deterring power, it's basically inviting 100 million Jew hating, genocide wanting Muslims around its borders to just storm in and commit the biggest genocide in human history. So Israel cannot do that. Israel needs to respond, and needs to respond strong. And Israel needs to, and defeating Hamas is good for not just Israel, but it's good for Palestinians. So if you care about Palestinians, you should support Israel to defeat Hamas, to destroy Hamas. And again, this is again the same reason why I'm against Likud and Netanyahu, because they support Hamas. The Likud party and Netanyahu, they support Hamas, and they betray the Israeli people. So if you want to be for Palestine, you need to be for Israel. If you want to be for Israel, you need to be for Palestine, because the only way for you to have peace here is for you to have a state of Palestine. You cannot be for one without being for the other one. There is no way to be pro-Palestine without being pro-Israel as well. There's no way to be pro-Israel without being pro-Palestine as well. This is why you have to be anti-Hamas. This is why you have to be anti-Likud and for Israel and for Palestine. Anybody else who is using the Palestinian lives as a way to be anti-Israeli is just doing that. It's just using Palestinians. They don't care for Palestinians. They're using Palestinians.
And the reason why you are peer pressured into protesting for or speaking up for Palestinian people and speaking against Israel is because people who are peer pressuring you, they have this religious fantasy of the end times when the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, "Oh, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, so kill him." This is the actual boner that these radical Muslims get. Israel is fighting for its survival. Yes, I'm very sympathetic towards the plight of Palestinian people, their local people in Gaza and people in the West Bank. I am all for them. And I do believe in a two-state solution, but Hamas doesn't believe in a two-state solution. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What does that mean? That means that you want to commit a genocide of 7 million Jews? What are you going to do to them? Basically, these people are basically saying that you either kill them or displace them. That is a classic textbook definition of genocide. On the other hand, these people keep telling you this is a genocide, this is a genocide. I'm sorry, again, 7,000 people is a lot of people who should not have died. And there are a lot of children in that too who are dying. But 7,000 out of 2.2 million people, this is not a genocide. This is very loosely defined by these people to play with Muslims' emotions. You are being a tool of their greater political objective. That's it. What I'm about to show you, this is not an insult or downgrading or downplaying the suffering of the Palestinian people. This is not that. But how can you be committing ethnic cleansing when your population is constantly increasing? You know how many Jews there were before the Holocaust? There were 16 million Jews. 6 million Jews were killed. And today, 75 years later, we have just hit the same number of 16 million Jews. Here in 1960, you had about 1 million Palestinians. Today, you have 5.5 million Palestinians. Again, I'm not saying that is to say that everything is amazing. I'm not saying that. But stop calling it a genocide. These are loaded terms used by Muslim propagandists to play with your emotions. And that's what's been happening.
Take a look at this, Aris.
Now, do you understand why the trees and rocks will have to... Oh, wow. So they've taken it to the next level.
This is one of the protests in support of Palestine in one of the many protests in Europe where Muslims are coming out and supporting Palestine. This is what a lot of the I stand with Palestine people actually stand for. Look at this sign.
And then we have these dishonest people like Muhammad Hijab, who just say, who are speaking from both sides of their mouths, where they say, I do condemn what happened on the 7th of October. But they didn't. None of them condemned. Did you see some of the celebratory tweets by these people? There was this MMA fighter. He had Palestinian flag as well on the 7th of October. Bushra Sheikh, she said, but the Palestinians have done far more than Zelensky could do with billions of dollars. And all of us knew what was going to happen. And we were like, oh boy, you're going to have to bite your words. This is going to get worse for the Palestinian people. And again, I am willing to give tiny bit of discount to Palestinian people because they are in the middle of this conflict, so their emotions are running high. They could probably fall for Hamas's propaganda, because if they think that there's bombs are dropping on us, so okay, who is going to help us? Hamas is going to help us. So I can understand that. I can give them a bit of a discount. I can forget about them. But this circus that we have in the bigger Muslim community, in the wider Muslim community, all around the world, they are nothing but idiots. They did not come out for the Yemenis. They did not come out for the Syrians. Why? Because no politician reminded them. No Muslim influencer reminded them. So they were like, oh, okay, let's just go to McDonald's, Apple, iPods, or whatever. Let's just do that. Business as usual. But now they're being told, hey, look what's happening in Palestine. You got to act. And then we have this kind of guy, Daniel Akikaju. Look at this, what he says. He says, remember, the only people condemning October the 7th are bloodthirsty Zionists. A Muslim who condemns October 7th is a hypocrite and a traitor to Islam. A non-Muslim who condemns October 7th does not believe Palestinians have a right to live and defend themselves against Israeli ethnic cleansing. Again, and obviously this is just false. You and I are non-Muslims. We do condemn 7th of October, and we do believe Palestinians have a right to life, not only right to life, but also right to independence. I believe that. I believe in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip should be freed, but only when there is a genuine guarantees given by the Muslim world to the Israelis that there is not going to be a hostile nation that would want to eradicate Israel.
This is why I condemn the settlements in the West Bank, because it's basically making it difficult for us to have a Palestinian state.
Yeah, I condemn that too. I was shouted at by a Zionist in my Oslo speech when I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't support the Israelis going to, and they say, well, this is a historical Judea, where else are we going to go? I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm an atheist too, I don't believe in it, but I want to believe in a practical solution.
Can I just say one thing in response to that? I say I condemn the West Bank settlements because I am a Zionist, because I want the best for Israel.
It just goes on to show that these couch jihadists, who he has no cost, he has no price to pay. And it's people like them who are sitting in their beautiful Western comfortable houses, and they're telling the Palestinians that, oh, we will support you, but stay there. Egypt has refused to take any Palestinian refugees. Egypt has said that we will sacrifice every Palestinian for the Palestinian cause. Like, who the hell are you to make that decision for them? If a Palestinian wants to leave Gaza or leave West Bank, they should be allowed to leave. But these people living their comfortable lives, they're saying, yep, keep sacrificing your lives. We'll be here and we'll just keep making tweets and we'll just keep making noise. Look how wicked that is. Isn't that wicked? Like, you're telling them to go sacrifice your lives for this BS cause. These people do not care about Palestinian lives. It's easy to put all the blame on Israel, go with the popular narrative that has been shoved down your throats ever since you were a kid. Why can't you entertain this idea? Why can you not realize that you are being deliberately forced into this selective outrage? More people have been killed by the Saudis. More people have been killed by Bashar al-Assad. You do not make a peep. You do not care. You are only being told. You are only being this outraged because you are being told. You're being fed this propaganda. And also, why don't you entertain another idea that you need to stand up against Hamas? Okay, I get it. You want to ask for a ceasefire. You want to ask Israel for a ceasefire. But at least in the same breath, you can also say, Hamas, you surrender. You can't say that, well, Hamas is not going to listen to us. Well, why should Israel listen to you? In your worldview, Israel is far more evil, yeah? So why would they listen to you? This whole thing is so illogical and stupid that it just doesn't make any sense.
If you fuck around and then you ask for people for ceasefire, that doesn't make any sense. You have to do the find out part before you do the ceasefire. You cannot be like, I don't understand people asking for ceasefire right at the beginning. I understand that some people, yeah, I mean, there needs to be a reaction, okay? And again, I understand the civilian casualties are, every single one of them is a tragedy. Everybody has to understand that the Israeli government needs to respond. If you're asking for no civilian casualties, given what Hamas does to make sure any response will have civilian casualties, you're basically asking the Israeli government to just take it. Just let their civilians die and not respond, because any response will require civilian casualties. Unfortunately will have civilian casualties. You have to blame Hamas for that, because if you want to blame the IDF for that, if you want to blame the Israeli government for that, you are basically asking the Israeli government to let Jews die and don't respond. That is what you're asking.
If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/Sultan, or you can simply buy me a coffee.